Howdy y'all, Frankie here. I want to do a character creation. I enjoyed creating characters, messing around with them, seeing what I can do, testing out different power sets. I want to do a Darkseid. So, he's going to be a villain, he's going to be serious. You could do a powerful for Darkseid, but I think the serious will be more appropriate for him. And he's a big guy, so I did this, what do they call it? The brute large. He's a big boy. Villain, serious. He's technically meta, so he should be with Lex by default. He has a lot of power sets, so it's hard to decide which one, but I'm going to go with the Quantum, because I think it looks cool. I think it'll be good for him. Flight, of course. He could be appropriate for skimming, but I think he's a flyer, so I'm going to go with that. Hand Blast could be good for him, but I'm going to go with Brawling. He is a fighter. He's not afraid to get in there. And so that's it for this part. And then the costume. Costuming. His gear, let's see, his head, well, let's start with his face. He's bald. Oh, not his face, that's his head. No, that's his hat. Body. Okay, he is bald. So let's go with that. His skin, there's some different options. He's got a gray skin, so you could go with... Oh, that's already pre-grade for you with some colorings from the scars and stuff. Let me look at that one for a second while we gear him up. So his head, he wears a open... Oh no, that doesn't have like no lips or nothing. That's not going to work. He wears an open face helmet thing, which they don't have. The closest thing is... is it the partial? Yeah, this kind of open look here. The partial slimline is all one color. So that's the closest thing they have here. If they had something that would go further back on the head and cheeks, that would be really good. Maybe there's a winnable piece somewhere that's similar to that. His face would be glowing, emissive eyes. His emblem, he's got a big, it depends on who draws him. A lot of time he does not have any emblem at all, and sometimes he's got this big U for the Omega, which this horned helmet gives a good U shape. You could use that. Chest, he almost hardly ever has any sleeves, so your only options for a sleeveless, there's this short sleeve, which still of course has some sleeve, and it goes all the way up to the mask, so that kind of looks good. The next two options are either a t-shirt, which sleeve wise is pretty much the same as the short sleeve. See, it just comes up to the bicep there, but it doesn't go all the way up to the mask. So if I was going to go with one of those two, I would go with the short sleeve slimline. But you also have a tank top here, which doesn't go all the way up to the mask, but it shows the most of his arms, which is pretty appropriate. And if you get shoulder pads later on, the right ones, I'm thinking the antifreeze ones maybe, could cover that up pretty good. So I'm going to go with the tank top. Back, he has nothing. Hands, he usually has a long glove, like this banded one would work. You could put them all one color and it should look okay, but I'm going to go, and the same thing with the clasp, you could put it all one color and it should work, but I'm going to go with the fin, not the bat fin, the other one, slimline fin. It has one fin, but from the front you don't even see it. So I think that'll work okay. And it's one color, so you don't have like the little straps and stuff. Or one solid piece, I should say. His waist, I think he just has a general kind of a sash or something. I think the square buckle is probably the most appropriate. The only other thing I think that might look okay is it's like riveted or something. No, it's got little, that's the one, interlocking. It's got little vials on it, and for some reason that makes me think of his belt, but it's really not right. So I'm gonna go with the square. His legs, depending again on who's drawing him, he will either be wearing some kind of skirt thing, which you cannot get for the males as far as I know, or briefs. Most closest thing would be briefs. And then the other option is a few artists, very few, not many, draw him with like black pants, because I guess they don't want to put him on a skirt. His feet, he always wears these big old knee-high boots. There we go, tall trim. And that's pretty much it. You just got to get the coloring right and then add shoulder pads when you come across them on the gear. But that skin doesn't look good. There was for a while where somebody had drawn him where he was kind of rocky and volcanic. So I had been thinking that this lava would look okay. But to me, it's not really that good. You can adjust the coloring, but I don't like it that much. So then your other option would be a rock could be the similar kind of thing like the lava. It just doesn't have the glow in the cracks. And you could go with a wise because it's got an ugly face, or angry because that's also got an ugly face. Tattooed, no. The glowing can look interesting when you dial back the color. So he has a gray skin. Bring that down. And that has an interesting kind of texture to it because it's still glowing, but it's gray, which is not a very good color for glowing. I'm going to leave that on there for a minute. His eyes, you want red for his powerful omega beams. And then his gear, the palette is pretty much a dark blue. And it could almost be black depending on who you're talking to, because in the olden days they used blue for black with some highlighting. He has gray on his belt, and that's probably about it. The logo, if he's wearing a logo, again depending on who's drawing him. Sometimes depending on who's drawing him, he'll have a bit of red. There was at least one where he had this jewel piece or something in the center of his chest instead of this logo, and that was glowing red, I think. And there was one time where he had some things on his hands that had the Omega logo. So I'm just gonna set all these colors to one color because he's pretty singular in his coloring, and that way if I do change a piece of gear, it should still have the proper coloring. And the red, I'm not going to be using any red. I just put it on there. I needed a third color. It's easy enough to change later on if you don't want it. Whoops. Oh yeah, that's the legs, his briefs, and then his feet are also all one color. So that's not terrible. The blue, seems a bit off to me, but I think it's less that the blue is off and more that, and sometimes they draw them with a brighter blue. Not bright like that. No, not like that. Maybe something like that. I think it's the gray glowing skin is giving it a weird effect, because that has a weird kind of texture for gray. So we'll back off of that and we'll go into just a regular skin. You could do a chrome, which is already gray. I don't think you can make it any grayer, but I don't think that'll be the right look for him. So I think either the angry, because he has an angry look on his face, or the wise, because that also has kind of a angry, disapproving look. But I'm gonna go with angry because I don't like the thought of Darkseid being wise. So we gotta fix his skin color again. Back to gray. And that's a Darkseid right there. Then once you get some more gear, I don't know if I've seen any gear that has
download successful.
A sleeveless top. Here's Darkseid. I tried it earlier to see if it was available. If you do Darkseid, the proper spelling, of course, it doesn't allow that. If you do Darkseid with, you throw in that H, that makes it dark like in Damien Dark. But Darkseid doesn't spell it S-I-D-E, he spells it S-E-I-D. And I believe that one's not available.
Error.
Name taken. So if you go with Darkseid, throwing in the H and spelling side properly, then you can get it like that, I do believe. Darkseid.
Earth.
So that's going to be it for now. I'm going to play around with him a little bit. I want to at least get him a set of shoulder pads before I get rid of the character. Play around with him. Quantum plus brawling ought to be kind of a semi-interesting combo. Let's break him out of here. Yeah, that's a Darkseid. Big, giant, mean-looking guy.
We've got a live one. They call me Calculator, and I'm going to try to get you off this ship alive.
Okay, Darkseid, we gotta go.
For a door or
say
something
goodbye.
similar.
No, he won't say goodbye. He's being a jerk. Well, y'all have a good day. Catch you later.